Okay, welcome back. In this video we're going to take the telemetry module, which is the TM1000, and bind it along with the receiver to the DX9 radio. So the first thing to do is turn on the radio and make sure you're on the right program, on the right model. And the right model in this case is the Kadet Senior. Okay. And now that I've verified that, I can turn it off. The telemetry module is connected to the receiver with this little wire that came in the kit. And the only other thing you're going to need that comes with the kit is a little pointer that looks like that. Okay? Because on the side of the telemetry module right here, there's a little button that puts it in bind mode. Because the bind channel is also the data channel between the two. So the telemetry module, you take this wire and it is the small little white connector is directional, meaning that it'll only go in one way. And just like that, you can see that the red wire is toward the inside, not toward the outside. And that's the data port. And we're going to plug this into the data bind channel with the black wire up. Okay, because that's where the negative is on this DX7. Okay, so now that that's done, we got the battery set. So how are we going to hold it all? Well, the way to do that is I got my little bench vise here. I'm going to put the Okay, so turn this around a little bit. So this is the off side of the switch. I'm going to put the off side of the switch toward me, and then close the vise up so that my little pinky can turn that on when I'm ready. So the battery is connected, and I'll get my little pointer device here. And so the sequence is going to be this. I'm going to, with one hand, hold this, with the other hand, hold the pointer, and with my pinky, push it on. Okay? And then once everything starts flashing, both the telemetry module and the AR7610 receiver will start flashing. I'll set them down, grab my radio, go off camera far enough, because you need to be at least 3 feet away when you do this, when you start the binding on the radio. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear it say that it's binding. So here we go. So I'm going to hold this, push it in, turn it on, and we are flashing.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry. Bind complete.
Okay, hope you heard all that. It said telemetry, DSMX 22 milliseconds, binding, telemetry, bind complete, and everything's steady. Okay. Now the first thing I'm going to do is turn this off. Also, I'm going to turn this off. Take it out of the vise. I have to get the vise out of my way here. Okay. Now, before I turn the receiver back on, I want to go ahead and program the telemetry on the receiver. Thus, in a future video, there's going to be a lot more about programming the remainder of everything in here that I want. But right now, I'm just going to program the telemetry. So I'm going to, we're in the main screen. I'm going to press the roller once and scroll down to where I see the word telemetry. Gonna press that, and then you've got 1 through 10 is empty, 11 is the receiver voltage, and number 12 is flight log. So right now the only thing I'm going to worry about right now is the first empty. I'm going to change to voltage, And so you scroll until you see the word voltage, volts like that, volts. Press once and you get this display. Now this is set up, as you can see, there's a type of battery called, it says 1S, LiPo 1S. We're not measuring a LiPo, we're measuring a nickel metal hydride, and there is no nickel metal hydride option that I can see, so we'll just leave it at 1S. So maybe I'll make it 2S, I guess. What it does, all it does is set the defaults, which you can then override anyways. So the minimum voltage, I'm going to make 5.2. Now 6 volts is nominal. 5.2 is getting down there. And actually I may make it 5.5. So, and then I want a voice alarm. So you can see the voltage minimum is at 5.5. And if it gets down to 5.5, I get an alarm. The other thing I'm going to do is in the status reports at the bottom, I want a status report of the voltage every 30 seconds. Now that's a personal preference. Sometimes I use a minute, sometimes I use 30 seconds. And this voltage pack, when it's fully charged, will be about 6.6, 6.8 in that range. When it gets down to 6 in my book, it's time to recharge. I get about I get about 3 or 4 flights. It's probably down to 6.3. If I get 6 flights out, it's down to 6.0, which gets down to 5.5. Now what's going to happen is the voltage is going to drop instantaneously below 6, and when it instantaneously gets below 5.5, in other words, if you're doing all kinds of stuff, all 3 or 4 servos or 5 servos are acting at the same time, it'll draw it down quickly and you'll get down to 5.5. When you hear that alarm, don't panic. All it means is lighten up on the airplane, let it cruise for a minute, stop using all the servos, and then you'll hear the next one go, okay, it's okay. The last one down there, warning reports. How often do you want one? Well, I set that for like 10 seconds. So what that means is you get the warning and then it'll just sit there, repeat, repeat, repeat. It will stop, and then but every 10 seconds it will, if that warning is still valid, it will repeat it. Sometimes I use 5 seconds, sometimes I use 10. I've already reacted by the first warning. And so those are the settings I'll have for the voltage. Okay, so I've got every 30 seconds I get a report. If I get a warning, it'll wait 10 seconds before it gives me the warning again. I don't worry about the max voltage, that's okay, but the min voltage of 5.5 is what I'm looking for. And let's see. I think that's it. Let me back up here, and I'll turn on the receiver, and we'll hear what happens.
Flight pack, no data. Flight pack, 0.0 volts.
Now, sometimes that happens. Okay. Flight pack 0.0 volts is because, let me back out of this, turn this off. The reason that is that way is because I haven't hooked up the wire. So I'm going to turn the radio off. The receiver's already off. I forgot to hook up. We have this sensor wire in the gear channel because that's where how we're gonna power it. But I didn't hook up the sensor wire to the telemetry module. So that's simply a matter of taking the same small connector and putting it in the middle port of the TM1000 module, because the middle port says temperature voltage, and since we're not going to probably measure temperature here for this radio, I do measure it for other ones, but not necessarily for this one. Okay, so if there is a Y connector, and if you want to measure temperature and voltage at the same time, there's a Y connector to have two sensors at the same time. So now that that is connected, okay, I will turn the radio back on, let it warm up, say hello, hi there. Okay, very good, we're on. Now turn on the receiver, and it's still going to
pack, no data.
fly pack no data, because the first time it warms up it goes, I can't find you yet. But guess what? If I scroll over now, I'll get a telemetry screen in which this first screen says there's 5 minutes remaining and the voltage is 6.3 volts. Okay. Then there's another screen here where you just see the voltage is 6.3, and then there's a max and min screen, and so
Light pack 6.3 volts.
this is a nice screen because you get to see the time remaining, the voltage on the battery pack, and the voltage at the receiver. Okay, so the receiver is measuring the voltage, and it's usually within a tenth of a volt, so that's okay. So you just heard it say flight pack 6.3. That was every 30 seconds. I'm not going to wait 30 seconds for that to do it again because I think I'm done.
Flight pack 6.3 volts.
I guess I talked for 30 seconds. Okay, so telemetry is set. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the next video.